one point where we had this long vacation, and then, because we can follow the conversations that we had. Outside and then.
Oh, yeah.
Answer how like, I think that's what we learned is tone it down a little bit because it gives it much, fodder for the question pieces and. It's captured, yes, I guess nowadays, a lot of it's captured by sorry.
Oh, it is, yeah.
If they had to go back and get the more detailed.
Pretty much anything's from the record forever.
Well, I had to grow out the beard because, you know, I get quoted too many times. I had to disguise myself.
That's why I don't have an Alexa in my house.
Yeah.
Right.
Even without owning an Alexa, you can still talk about something in your house and then Facebook.
Yeah, amazing how that happens. Something well
Change.
Same with that too, you know.
You did a little experiment where you talk about tires with your wife for a couple days in a row.
Yeah.
Watch the advertisement.
Oh,
for
yeah,
tires.
we played that game.
Oh, yeah.
We thought of a widget that we would never ever
Yep.
consider buying, and we start talking about it, and sure enough, it starts showing up. And it's like, yeah.
All of a sudden,
I was talking about getting to the upper parts of my roof and work on the trim work. And thinking about loose
right?
anchors and different ways of getting up there. And so I figured out there's all these clever things.
Different products, yeah.
Wanted to do the house with party board trim. And put some of it up and my wife was, so it's got cypress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and wood boring underbees.
Oh, that stuff, yeah.
So,
Then you get the woodpeckers after the larva of the
Yeah.
bees.
and I can get most of it, but there's some far up there reaches that we. In fact,
Yeah, it's almost like you can never get rid of them unless you just do sheet metal.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
well, I did have to do some sheet metal where the squirrels decided they could get through it too.
Yeah.
I worked that out. I think that does look prettier.
We replaced part of my deck this weekend. And I done most of it a couple years ago, we're just
Yeah.
finishing it up. Cut some of the posts off and then just holes.
Oh, yeah.
Seeds are flying everywhere.
Hey, and I don't know what gets rid of them either.
No, because I've heard that they come back to the same holes that they were born in.
Yeah, I have a dust and
Does it work?
it does pretty good because it can last through the winter. And when they come up, if they come back or they hatch out of it, I find dead bees around the
Oh,
house. Where, you know, I didn't get them before they were larval stages or
I've
whatever.
got a friend who swears by traps that he builds.
They work.
There's no bottle traps.
Yeah,
Yeah, they work.
yeah, they do.
Which, like I said, my house, I would have to have them. Like, every reason.
You have to have them everywhere.
I used to have a problem. I put up to those house traps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't seen.
Really?
Carpenter videos in a couple of years.
I
That's a
need
pretty
to
good
put some-
instruction.
I need to put some out there.
I have
On
a-
YouTube. You
I
can
have
do
an additive.
If she's
for
like
my,
you.
Yeah, you just.
for the stain that I put on, trying to
About 3 or 4 of them. Well,
paint, and it usually 2 or 3
They
years.
need
I
to,
get.
they were tearing everything down.
And that's
Even
bad.
if it's,
So I've gotta
you know,
get
it's treated wood.
Yeah.
they just
treat
love
the
it.
building.
But I did find it on those traps. Don't use them. Because we got them in there. That traps.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Japanese beetles are like that too. Well, a lot of the buzzing that you see when they're buzzing around the house, it's the males looking for the girls that have set up house. Sort of thing, so maybe that's part of it too. Yeah. The cypress is held up to the weather well. And if you don't mind well, my wife at first wanted that woodworm for the kitchen cabinets and stuff.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, the wormwood or whatever. It's called.
Yeah.
You got it on the outside.
And then on the inside.
It's solid.
Yeah, that stuff's expensive.
I said, we're gonna use this kitchen over time, you need to buy it. You know, it's like buying jeans and clothes in the house. You heard about this house?
This is the last
Yes.
exterior thing for a while. Fitted the house 2.5 years, finally finishing it up.
Oh, yeah.
Constant.
I enjoy doing stuff like that.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So I do.
It takes a lot of time, doesn't it?
Finishing the rest of the basement. We put my in-laws in one half and the other half of slowly finishing up the workshop, the pottery studio.
Oh, yeah.
Some storage, just, only have maybe one day a week I can work on this.
Nice. Reached out to his wife, but I know it's
Takes forever.
We just finished a 700-foot addition on our house for my mother.
Yes.
Yeah, I was from around up. It took about a year.
The house we bought had a partially finished basement, but it was just, they finished 2 big rooms, one was a bedroom.
Right.
It's kind of flip flopped it, put a kitchen in and laundry room. It's about 1,000 square feet. So
That's pretty
they're
good.
happy. Put a screen porch on it, underneath that's their garage.
Oh, that's no problem. What's now go?
Had to put a driveway around the back, so this is always.
the debating thing.
I mismeasured. Reconfigured, but anyway, the kitchen. Bought, I made it up in full-size stove and refrigerator. Well, then there wasn't enough room to open the door in the refrigerator.
Yep.
So I bought took it back, got a 3 inch more narrow for each freezer. Well, then it was still quite not enough for the stove. So what should have been a $650 stove, the smaller you buy, the more it costs. So a 24-inch stove was $1,400.
Yep. Yep.
That 4 burners, nice stove. $1,400 for 2 foot.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
But
Yeah, we,
Stephen, did you see that?
I didn't know that till today.
no, I didn't. Man, he's a year younger than me.
Yep.
Guess rather than do the moving silence, I was sure everybody's got the word.
And what happened to him, Chuck?
I don't know.
I read their obituary, I'm like, he was only 52.
We. Slightly oil, maybe the only ones who were socially acquainted that started rides horses out of the farm, but. We haven't seen her and we've sent some texts and some emails and
Yeah.
good wish cards, but we don't know what's going on.
Name check.
No,
Chris,
it's not.
you- You're
I
somewhere.
guess I'm free today.
Check under the podium, that's where you had it hidden, unless you took it home last week and you were supposed to bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
This last couple of weeks.
Middle of January.
Oh,
Middle of January.
Or was it January?
Yeah, and we would have had our January meeting the next day.
We didn't have a junior.
I know, but, Scott Green passed away.
Oh. Didn't know that. Use your name. I think so, or I'm just gonna, I'll play. I did not. Yeah, I did not take.
I don't blame him. I think he took it.
Yeah, we better play the tape.
I wasn't at the December meeting, I had a final I was giving.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
Sure my students with.
you never know.
So now, you never know.
Georgia, yeah, engineering. electrical engineering.
There you go, he found it.
Oh, yeah,
He took it.
18-year-old son.
there we go, thank you.
When you mentioned it was only since November, then you said, oh yeah, that's that thing that's been in my bag since.
You teach it.
I do, yes.
Just started at home.
Yeah, let's go.
Same day.
Make sure Matt sees.
I had an evening class in the fall and that final was right over.
Yeah, that's
so this starts and then it's 5 to 8.
Good sense all the time.
We have a.
Chuck.
What's up?
Moment.
Yeah,
I mean, I think we ought to, whether we can or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. These times, I needed. Well, I saw it in the paper, I was shocked.
Yeah, I didn't, somehow I missed it.
that's all I was doing. Yeah, the other thing that I read in the paper is the police letter, and a couple of times I find the guys that are working on the farm, I see, wait, that looks like Louise.
Yeah.
On one occasion, It was, the next day. Wasn't my employee, but.
I think all of 18 was our first. Okay. Yeah, I was in industry.
That's what was supposed to be.
Okay.
Right, and I.
You've been in with your versus.
I used to want to do about it.
There are windows now.
We troll all, but it's never good enough fun. Well, we was coming back and.
Put his name next to it.
So, you know, the boys out in Trumpy.
Look into that.
You couldn't get come in tonight. Huh? You could have brought pizza. Nobody shared it.
That's what he said when he was coming home. We had one thing.
I feel like myself.
But he jumped in, that's what. You said.
Like,
Yes.
He killing me.
Every time he came to visit, there was application in the university. He finally went to very busy.
And I don't know, we put, so.
He did 20 years. He's finished over. He did his 20 Chevron, and he's finished his 20.
One grab's coming up. Yeah. And they've been-
39 and a half.
Yeah.
I haven't signed them.
No, no. I have copies of something. I have to thought, but they know that it's called school or they want to find.
Because if I have.
They invested.
All right.
You can make a buy. Yeah, you can buy, make sure you should when they. It's better. Yeah, something else.
Yeah, it was 30 seconds.
Too much.
All right, whether you use AT&T or Verizon, I think it's 7 o'clock somewhere, so we'll go ahead and get started. This is the February 20th meeting of the Planning Commission. We are a recommending body to the Board of Commissioners. Decisions that we make tonight for rezoning requests and other issues will be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners or appropriate city councilors. Tonight's agenda and sign-in sheets were in the back. If anybody wants to sign in, Gavin, go ahead and come have your seat. The Oconee Planning Department is, here are the procedures that we follow. The planning department is gonna present their reports and recommendations for each request. The public is going to be asked to speak in favor of it. Usually that starts with the representative or the petitioner himself. Then we'll get any other input in favor of the proposal. That period is limited to about 20 minutes. Then we'll ask for any opposition representatives that want to speak in opposition. Again, that needs to take place in about 20 minutes. So what we do there is we ask that you not repeat any opposition, maybe ditto the previous. When those two 20-minute periods have finished, we'll close the public portion of the each proposal. We'll bring it up here to the commissioners and they'll discuss any issues that they still have. And then I'll ask for motions and such to move forward. As I said, what we ask you to do when you come up to the podium, please introduce yourself with your name and your address. I've been a little remiss in our minutes that we'll review in a minute, have a name missing as a result. I'm sorry for that. So name and address, please, when you come up to the podium. Address yourself to the guys up here. Convince us, don't work the crowd, please. And then, as I said, if we have multiple speakers, please just say I agree with him and then move on to the new topics that you want to bring up. And then we ask you to be courteous and not applaud or comment from all the way in the back, please. So commissioners, you have in front of you the agenda and the minutes from our December meeting. We didn't have a January meeting. Are there any comments or corrections for the minutes? I don't see anybody trying to get my attention, so do I have a motion regarding the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mike is gonna approve,
I'll second.
okay. Second, all right, and all in favor of approving the minutes as written? All right, since our last meeting, we have lost one of our commissioners and it's not on the agenda, but I'd like to take just a moment to remember Scott Green and his family and his passing. I'm sure that's not a full minute, but I think it will have to serve in this case. So I will ask, we have no old business, so I'll go ahead and invite Mr. Herring up for the first item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. You have this evening rezone P220263 R&C Development Enterprises. This is located along Hog Mountain Road, just west of Stonebridge. It's the small R1 portion of the larger R1 subdivision in Stonebridge. It's in the Civic Center character area, and the request is a rezone from R1 to B1 in order to develop the parcel of stormwater management facility for the adjacent B1 commercial property. You have in your concept plan the design for the finishing of the development of the B1 property, and you'll notice the stormwater detention pond will be used on this additional piece. These are architectural images in your packet, and staff recommends conditional approval with our standard approved conditions. Thank you.
All right, I'll ask the petitioner or the petitioner's representative to come up and. Do we have anybody for this? Okay. We have no comment in favor. Anybody else want to speak on this particular topic? All right, I'll ask if there's any opposition. Still, nobody's here for that reason. All right. I'll close public comment and bring it up to my colleagues here. Anybody have any questions for Guy?
I do. So Guy, the slide that you showed with the development that
Right.
needs the retention
Mhm.
pond. Is it this may have been done when I was up here, but has that been approved?
It has.
Okay,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
It's
And there's existing buildings there now. They just want to finish it out, and in order to do that, they have to make sure that they,
houses and stuff.
All right,
in order to do that, they have to make sure the stormwater detention is large enough,
yeah.
and this piece would suffice for that.
Thanks. Thank you.
Anybody else needs a question answered? All right, well then. Still not seeing anybody trying to get my attention to speak in for or against. I'll go ahead and see if there's any votes or motions.
I'd like to make a motion to accept.
Yeah, with conditions and all. Okay, as written.
I'll second that with
Okay.
staff recommendation.
I have a first and a second. Now I'll ask for a show of hands, right hand in favor, please. It's unanimous. All right. Kai, I'll ask you to come back.
Your next case is rezone P 22-0295 and special use P 22-0297. This is located on New High Shoals Road. This is the aerial photograph of the portion of the subject parcel. It's currently zoned OBP in the community village character area. And again, the request is to change the conditions of the previous zoning case 6745 from OBP to OBP with approval for a self-storage use. And then number two, the special use approval to construct a self-storage facility under the existing OBP zoning. This is a principal use as allowed by special use approval in the OBP zoning district, according to section 20511 of the UDC. You have in your application packets. There we go. The architectural images that were submitted with the package. And there should be it's not downloading the image. You have the site plan in your packet, but I was trying to pull it up on the screen. Let me go to the PowerPoint. Pull up this PowerPoint. But these are the architectural images you have in your application packet, and staff recommends conditional approval with our standard 3 conditions, and then condition number 4, I believe you have in your staff report recommending exhibit 1 and exhibit 3 as the architectural images that would be the use for the construction of the buildings.
Yeah, we didn't have numbers, so I was gonna make you clarify that.
They're there. Yes, sir.
The 1 and 3 is the ones mentioned in the comments.
Right. And you'll see those on the slide there behind you.
All right,
And this is the concept plan that is in your application packet. Showing the buildings developed on the OBP portion with the remainder of the parcel being zone B2. I'll be glad to answer your questions if you have any at the appropriate time. Thank you.
thank you. All right, so the applicant or representative, want to come on up? You come on up.
Good evening, guys. My name's Frank Pittman, Pittman and Greer Engineering at 1050.
And I'll hold you up just a second. You want to pull a chair up, or you're just gonna be a commissioner from there? We have a full house. I'm sorry. All right.
You good?
Yes, sir.
My name's Frank Pittman with Pittman and Greer Engineering. We're at 1050 Barber Creek Drive. Here tonight representing the owner, 1619 New High Shoals Road. This is out across from the Aquatic Center. The property, as Mr. Herring mentioned, is currently zoned OBP. It was zoned for an office park with the main use being a brick company that was going to have their facility there, which would include some outdoor storage and stuff. As economics kind of changed, they decided to stay where they were. It didn't make sense to build a new facility out here. So they put property up for sale. The buyer is a local guy that owns some self-storage facilities already and would like to do self-storage. So we're asking for a modification of the existing OBP zoning and for special use to allow for self-storage in this existing zoning class. We feel that the use would be good for the area. since this is a pretty highly congested traffic area already with the school and the aquatic center and a number of subdivisions in the area. This is a commercial use that is very low traffic. You don't have a lot of people coming and going at peak times of the day. It is also a little difficult to develop as a commercial piece of property, which it is commercial today, but there's no sewer frontage. The sewer is back over behind the aquatic center, so the cost to get to sewer is pretty costly, which has made it difficult to develop as an office park. This use obviously doesn't use much sewer. You would have 1 or 2 people in the office and a septic system works just fine. So we feel that other benefits to the community are obviously tax base without putting kids in school. And the use does fit in the existing zoning class and it fits the community village center character area. And we would ask for y'all's approval here tonight. I'm open for any questions. Thank you.
Well, we have a little extra time there. We'll ask you if you need to come back. Anyone else want to speak in favor? And I didn't see any on the sign up sheet. All right. So I'll go ahead and close the in favor and the presentation and ask if there's anybody in opposition. I have one person that signed up. And Pam, I guess I'll ask you if you want to come first.
Good evening. I'm Pam Hendricks. I live in Thornwood subdivision, 1151 Thornwood subdivision. It's the subdivision near this development. I'm not really here in opposition. I just have, I'm privy to some information that I just think is kind of interesting. My cousin lives up near Athens Academy, and that's Robin Hood Drive, and that group of people really got in. They're building these self-storage up there. I think that's come before you. And my big question is, I was just thinking about this. I'm in my 50s. These self-storage did not used to exist. It must be a cultural phenomenon that we're going through. I mean, I'm really trying to think about it. Is it that we've just bought a lot of stuff from China that we can't part with? Is it that we're an aging population and we can't get rid of our parents' stuff when they pass on? I'm trying to think what cultural thing makes these self-storage units so popular, but we already have a lot of them in Oconee County. Of course, there's the one in downtown Watkinsville. I know there's one on Mars Hill Road. I know there's one out on 78. I'm pretty certain y'all approved the one up on Robin Hood Drive. And I guess I'm here to just sort of say to the potential buyer, are you aware that there's already going to be another one up at Robin Hood Drive, up in that area, up near Mama's Boy at the Falls? And, I was just thinking about this a little bit. I'm not, like I said, I'm not really opposed because it is kind of a low use thing, but what if things change? What if this cultural phenomena? I personally have helped 2 friends recently. The rent got too high on the self-storage and they had to give it up. And so, I just want to think, I don't want us to get a bunch of these built and they're empty. So just putting a thought in a few people's heads. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, Pam was the only one brave enough to sign up, but is there anyone else that would like to bring up their issues with things like this? I don't see anybody rushing towards us or raising their hands. Mr. Pittman, do you want to address any of that?
I will, just for a second. And I appreciate Ms. Hendricks coming out and speaking as a neighbor. I guess what I'll say to kind of answer that a little bit is, I get asked this question a lot because I have been the engineer on a bunch of self-storage facilities. A bunch of them have come before you guys. And there have been studies done all over the country. And believe me, it blows my mind too. But the studies show that we are actually, as a country, we are severely understored as far as storage goes. And the reason being, the biggest reason is, and Ms. Hendricks, you kind of touched on it a little bit. So you had the baby boomers after World War II, and that was the first generation of people that started building bigger houses and started accumulating things. Before that, a lot of people didn't have electricity. They might not have running water, and they lived in small houses, and everything was just what they needed. People started accumulating stuff. And so now we're 2 generations past that. People are inheriting stuff, and like it or not, I mean, you get your grandmother's china cabinet, you don't want it in your house, but you can't get rid of it. And that's truly why a lot of these storage facilities are out there. You've got businesses that use them a lot, because as businesses grow, office spaces become more and more expensive. And so they're using them for document storage and stuff like that too. So they are getting used. You mentioned rents going up, and rents are going up because the supply doesn't meet the demand, and they can get more rents. These things are full. All the ones that have been built in Oconee County are completely full. I don't know that I can speak on whether or not some that have been approved, who knows when they build them. I don't necessarily, I mean, this guy plans to start building this thing this year, but until it's built, it's not there. So that, yes, there have been some approved. They have not been built. The ones that are here are full. So I hope that covers your questions. And, I don't necessarily disagree. It's a weird phenomenon, but they do fill up.
Thank you, Mr. Pittman. All right, with that, I'll close the public portion and bring it back to my colleagues. And are there any questions that have still to be answered in your heads?
I have a question. Go ahead. For Guy first, maybe Mr. Pittman, but is there a requirement on the lighting? The main concern I have is the residences on that one side.
Mhm.
And is there a requirement on the lighting that would shield?
Yes.
You know,
So our UDC requires that the lights be
that's
shielded
what I
for
thought.
one. And then 2, they have to provide a photometric plan showing that it's a 1-foot candle or less in the property line.
Anybody else? Mr. Pittman, might be that I didn't read it close enough, but is any of this going to be air conditioned storage? Because I know that's the.
Yes, the larger buildings would all be interior climate controlled storage. I mean, that's the big push nowadays, and those fill up really fast, but they're obviously a lot more expensive to build. So they've got a little bit of a mix. There's a smaller building around the perimeter that would be, the old traditional outdoor stuff, so that, some people don't need that. Some people store old cars and some of these things, they obviously need outdoor bay for that, but the bigger buildings would be interior climate control.
So is it 4 buildings?
It is, I can't see the plan from here. It actually may be, yes, it's 4 buildings total.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right. Yes, sir. And so they would probably be built in phases, not all at one time, as, obviously one whole building would be built at a time, but as the need, they may come in and build 2 buildings, and then as it fills up, they build the 3rd one or the 4th one.
What is that 2.6 acres gonna be?
On the corner?
Yeah.
So that's existing zone B2. Eventually that may be a convenience store. It'd be a higher use type development. That is being purchased by this developer.
Right.
So that would not be storage on that corner. But it would be, something, a higher highway kind of, I doubt a restaurant would work that far south, but it could very well be a convenience store or something at some point.
Any other questions? Right. So, yes, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
And remember, we are voting on them separate. So first we're doing 295. I assume we can go into the next one without another presentation, but we do.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion, we approve P 2202 with staff conditions.
Right.
I'll
So
second.
who second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right, so I have a first and a second. I'll ask for a show of right hands if you're in favor. All right, so the other one is the special use for the storage. Like, use of it. Again, the discussion should be about the same. Are there any other questions on that? Then I will look for a motion.
I'll make it motion to accept this.
All right, Gavin. Gavin's first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Steve?
the staff recommendation.
Oh, sorry, yes, I assume so. Okay, thank you. My bad. All right, so I have a first and a second, Gavin and Stephen, and I'll ask for a show of right hands, please. All right, that is all the business that I have on my agenda. And so I will now ask if there's a motion to go home. All right, Mike,
Second.
need a second? That's not. Then I assume you approve unanimous. All right, vote with your feet.
I don't really disagree. Stay